We will get started here in a minute or two. A couple technical difficulties, and we're trying to get going. Welcome aboard. Hi, I just sent you a link on Facebook. All right, bye. That's the world famous John Sorbonne, who's going to be joining us here, and it's not quite 9 o'clock, so this is our technical time. So give us a couple minutes. If you're watching this as a replay, you can probably just skip ahead 10 minutes. And we'll be on live in a few minutes. So you get to watch me try to resolve some tech issues.
Put more lights on me.
Hello, John.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, give us a couple minutes. Just hang chilly, Prince.
All right.
We'll get started here in a few minutes. As a matter of fact, John, if you want to, you can randomly tell some stories while I work on some tech issues with Venn, the programmer.
Okay, what stories do you like?
Tell us any story, John.
There was a story about these three bears.
That's my favorite story.
Okay. Oh, I'll tell you the tomato story, right? There's a papa tomato, a mama tomato, and a baby tomato. And they're walking down the street, and the baby tomato keeps lagging behind. So the papa tomato starts freaking out, and the mama tomato is trying to keep peace. So the papa tomato turns around, he stamps on the baby tomato, he flattens him all over the street. He points at the baby tomato, and he says, "Ketchup." These three bears.
That's my favorite. We'll give people a minute or two, and then we'll go ahead and get started with or without people.
Okay.
Let me, I want to post a couple of things just so that people can find us in case we have tech issues on my page. It looks like my server is under attack, so.
Where are you?
I'm in my office, in my house.
Oh.
It's not a big city behind me, it's a fake city.
I was going to say, it's a fake city.
That's right, it's a big fake city. So people should be joining us, though. It's 9 o'clock. So let me see. All right, John, we're about ready to begin. I want to yep, it should be working just fine. So let me type here in the chat box, welcome aboard. The chat box isn't working right either. We're having all kinds of tech issues, but we'll get it signed up. So about 10 people have joined us so far, even with these tech issues. We'll get started here in just a minute or so. So welcome aboard, everybody. It's great to have everybody. The chat box should be working, but it's not. So we'll get started here in just a minute or so. Let's see. ICBC. We'll be ready to begin here in just a minute. John, if you would give a profound and dramatic introduction, what I call Aaron Little, real quick.
Welcome to our event this evening here on Non-God TV. As you know, your host is Richard K. Nongard, a well-known hypnotist and purveyor of hypnotic information, as well as myself. I am John Sorbonne, a.k.a. the Trance Master, which I've recently had trademarked. I've written 2 best-selling international hit script books on 6 continents right now as we speak. And I am writing a 3rd book right now on how to write such suggestions for yourself. I have to believe of writing and creating suggestions in order to create profound improvement in people's lives. And I'm currently delineating a wide variety of how to get this stuff done. So welcome, and Richard's looking very official on his cell phone call there. and throw it back to Richard. Welcome back, Richard.
Well, thanks. It's actually great to be here. Lots of people have joined us, and unbeknownst to me, we had a technical glitch. It appears as if our server is actually under attack. So maybe somebody out there who didn't want free hypnosis to be shared with the world has attacked us, or maybe it's just some random internet brat. But nonetheless, my tech guy is on it. So if you're on our regular video.subliminalscience.com/Sunday webpage, fantastic. Some of you are joining the live stream, which I created as a direct link, and I posted it in our group. But nonetheless, lots of people are filtering in here. It's 9 o'clock, and let me give you a little bit of background about what we're doing and what we've done in the past. In years gone by, on Sunday nights, I typically have done a free teaching time. And I did not do that all summer long. I had a lot of other projects going on. In fact, most of the last year we didn't do it. But I really enjoy being able to answer questions and have time with people and to bring on some world-class experts. Like tonight, for example, I brought John Sorbonne along with me. But there he is, waving at everybody. Wave again, John. Give us that hypnotic wave again. And that's what I'm going to be doing every Sunday night. I'm going to be sharing ideas. I'm going to be answering questions, etc. Now, because I have tech difficulties, I'm not sure if the chat box is working. So the chat box might not work tonight, even though it normally will work. My programmer has been actually working on this up until the very last minute. This webcast is going to be free. It'll be every Sunday night, and I'm going to share all kinds of things with you. Tonight, I wanted to focus on the idea of scripts. Somebody had posted in our ICBCH group on Facebook, we have over 3,000 members, some thoughts on scripting not too long ago. And many of you know that I have written a book on scripts, Richard Nongard's big book of hypnosis scripts. And John Sorbonne has written a number of hypnosis script books. He's written 2, and he's working on his 3rd. And so we thought tonight we would share some ideas on writing hypnosis scripts and utilizing hypnosis scripts. And so before I ask John a few questions about his work, I'm going to share with you just a general principle that I think is really important. I hear a lot of people, particularly on internet forums, say, why, I would never use a hypnosis script. The reality is I go into almost every one of my sessions with a hypnosis script. A script that I've written or a script that somebody else has written. And the reason why is simple. If I see 6 or 7 or 8 clients in a day, I need to be able to make sure that I give them all the suggestions that they're entitled to. It would be irresponsible for me, maybe not for you, but it would be irresponsible for me to go into a session not prepared. And the reason why is simple. I can't possibly remember every one of the needs of every one of my clients every single day. I just don't have the memory of an elephant. Maybe some of you do, so you would never use a hypnosis script. But here's the way I introduce a script with my client. I say to my clients, as we move from the free talk into the hypnotic furniture and they put the headphones on, I always do hypnosis with headphones. I begin to speak to them through the headphone, and I let them know that during the course of our session, they might hear me looking at my notes or even reading from a book or a story. And the reason why is I want to make sure that I cover everything that's important today. And when I normalize that process, then the idea of reading a script, flipping through a page, is not distressing or disturbing to the client. In fact, it reassures them because they know that I'm actually doing this to give them everything that they're entitled to. So that's how I introduce the ideas of the script. Now, this is principle number 1, though, that I think is really important. Never use a hypnosis script that you've never read before. Understand each script you ever bring into a hypnosis session and be prepared to alter that script to meet the unique needs of your clients. I don't read scripts verbatim to my clients, but I use scripts as a guide, sometimes interjecting colorful language. I often borrow from John Sorbonne's script. He's got a great script that I use. I can't remember what it's called, but it's from your first book that I use with a lot of my clients. And I'll use scripts that I've written from my own books or other resources that others have written and use them as a guide to help my clients meet their particular need. So I'm not adverse to using a script. I'm only adverse to not using a script that you're not very familiar with and not prepared to alter to the client's needs. Scripts should be a guide. When we use scripts as a guide, then it helps us meet our clients needs by giving them all of the suggestions that they're entitled to in every suggestion. The other thing that I think is real important with scripts, and I'm going to ask John a whole bunch of questions. John's written a couple books on this, and is working on a third book right now. The other idea with scripts that I think is really important is that we get in the habit or the practice of reading and writing scripts. So even if we go into a session without a piece of paper, we're still going in with a plan, with a script. I hear hypnotists say, well, I've done so many smoking cessation sessions, I would never use a script. Well, guess what? I rarely bring a script into a smoking cessation session also. The reason why is I've done hundreds of them, thousands of them probably. And so I have the script committed to my memory. But I find with most of my clients, I most often say mostly the same things. So it's still a script, even if it's committed to memory. John, you've written a lot of books, a couple of script books. They've been bestsellers in the field. Let me ask you a question. Should a hypnotist, or can a hypnotist who's responsible and good at what they do, use an actual written script in a hypnosis session?
Absolutely, because you're covering every topic. If a person sends you, as I request my clients do, an email with 5 short sentences of weak spots, what if you forget the last 2? I mean, we're people. Things come and go in our heads. When I'm personally doing a clinical hypnosis session, I'm in state. I am in hypnosis myself. I am in an altered state of consciousness as I'm working my voice, as I'm remembering everything I'm doing. I have numerous inductions memorized. I have numerous reinforcement triggers at the end of the session already committed to memory. But when somebody sends me an email with weak spots on it, and I usually request 5 little short sentences, not paragraphs, not life histories, not the Magna Carta, I don't need War and Peace, just little sentences. And in sentence number 6, which we'll get to in a minute, depending upon what session it is, a little bit more information. I get the information necessary, and I write suggestions. I want to hold up a book, which is rather difficult to hold up in one hand at this point in my life. This is my actual book of loose scripts that I've been writing over the years. I don't know if you can get a picture of this as I'm trying to angle this. But this book is immensely thick, and it weighs about 15 or 20 pounds to hold in one hand.
Now, you know what's interesting, John? Before you go any further, I have right here, sitting on my desk in front of me, you'll notice, John Sorbonne, the exact same thing, and I've been working on this book since about 1994.
I've got about 5 or 6 inches worth of paper in there, and that's all loose scripts that I've written over the years that I use in private session. But when I'm writing refined sessions, as I did yesterday, as I did the day before, for somebody's weak spot, I had a guy, he works on bridges, and he's got a problem, his boss doesn't get along with him, and he's got job stress. I had to come up with a way to fix that, about coping with a difficult workplace. Well, I can sit there at this point in my career straddles 4 decades in hypnosis, and I can turn around and just do this off the top of my head. But in the early days, decades ago of me doing that way, what used to go through my head is they'd walk out of the room and onto their life, and I would think to myself, wow, there's 3 other things I should have said to these people. And it would be in the back of my mind, there's 3 other things these people should have heard me say. And the session was over. What was I going to do? By me doing this stuff in advance, I allow myself to sort of channel through the information. I write the whole thing out. I also use a wide variety of pre-written hypnotic language patterns, which is something I'm writing a book about now, about how to make the sessions work better. I will do things where I'm pulling all kinds of things out of the atmosphere. If I have a single mom come in here, or a single grandparent, or a single dad come in here, I am not beyond using the love of their child to get them more cigarettes or to eat better, because love is a very potent force. I mean, most of those parents want to be there to see this little kid grow up and get married. Do they want to dance at their wedding? Well, smoking is going to stand in the way of that. So there's a lot of little techniques I've come up with over the years, lots of ideas that have come through my mind to get them across out of the tunnel or into the light, into a better place. By having this stuff pre-written, I also have the ability to write covert suggestions or Ericksonian-style suggestions in the course of a direct suggestion session based on the work of Ahrens and people he learned from. The idea is that I can use a multiple wave of different techniques throughout the course of a script. I can use sentences that are out of order, so the subconscious mind has to grab them and twist them around into something to make an anchor out of them. I can use covert technique in the suggestions. as you've seen me do in public a couple of times, is experiments to get a table at a restaurant we weren't allowed to have initially, if you remember that evening. I can use metaphors. I can use other things, truisms. I can use a wide variety of different techniques. And if I prepare for it in advance, I've done my homework, and the client's going to get what they came for. I can also...
one of the things that I do, John, is I actually I buy a lot of poetry books, and I buy a lot of books of short stories. On my bookshelf, if you were to come over and visit, you would find a lot of storybooks, a lot of motivational, inspirational storybooks. Things like, remember the old Guidepost magazine that you used to find around? I think it was Norman Vincent Peale who actually used to publish that. Little stories and vignettes, and I sort of collect those so that I have a collection of resources, stories that are healing metaphors, parables, and stories that I can share with clients. In fact, there's a very short one. It's an old Polish poem, and it's actually on a plaque, and it's been translated into English, and it's been on my wall over the years. And the poem is this: the stream said to the river, "You go quickly, and I go slowly, but together we reach the sea." Now that's really a pretty simple poem, but it's also really pretty deep. And in my hypnotic scripts with my clients, I will share with them stories or poems or learnings. The other thing I do is I try to script out on my own, John, different outcomes for different responses from a client. And so this is a game you can play, especially if you're new to hypnosis. If you say something to a client, what might they say in response? And what is it that you should say? So, John, if you wouldn't mind role-playing for just a minute here, I want you to imagine that you are my client, or you are the person who I'm going to be working with, maybe in an informal or impromptu hypnosis setting as well. So I've never met you before, and I don't know anything about you, so just pretend that, which I know is probably difficult since we know each other so well. But, John, have you ever experienced hypnosis before?
No.
You know, I love working with people who have never experienced hypnosis before. I enjoy teaching them something new and showing them the power of the mind. Now, let me ask that question again, and I want the other answer. Well, hello, John. Yes, I'm Richard the hypnotist. And have you ever experienced hypnosis before?
Yes.
Really? And where was it that you experienced hypnosis before? Did you listen to some self-hypnosis CDs or go to a stage show or even see a hypnotist before?
One of those, yes.
You know, that's fantastic. I love working with people who already know how to utilize the resource and the power of hypnosis. Now, notice, it didn't matter how we answered the question. I was prepared with the script, or the pattern, if you will, to engage that person fully. It doesn't matter if the answer is yes or the answer is no. I have an answer for it. Back in 2011, I wrote a book titled Magic Words in Hypnosis. And there's simple answers that we can give a client, or little scripts that we can use for just about any reason. Here's a script to get paid by your client in therapy, or when a client's not prepared to pay, or questions your high fee, or what if there's background noise. All of these are questions that I've thought about, and I've tried to write a little script for each of them. For example, here's my script for when clients question your high fees. My fees are consistent with other professionals who produce excellent results, and although they are perhaps more expensive than a plumber's house call, the good news is they're less expensive than a lawyer or accountant. That injects a little bit of humor into the game there, and usually moves on a client. One of the scripts in here is actually for what if you, the hypnotist, actually has to use the bathroom during a session? What would you say to a client? And I don't want to go through the book and look, but here's the script I would use. And as you continue to relax a little bit deeper, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to step outside of the room for just a couple of moments. And as I step outside of the room, I want you to tap into that resource state that you call hypnosis and bring anything, either, this is your line, anything either known or unknown, keeping you from success. I'll be back in just a couple of moments, giving you a few minutes to enjoy this experience that you've created of powerful and deep hypnosis. Now I can leave the room and I can come back. They'll just be sitting in the chair with their door closed. But I know that because I've written a script for it. John, do you write scripts for outcomes that or scenarios that you might encounter as a hypnotist?
Generally, the scripts I'm writing have to do with the suggestions I'm plugging directly into the session. So everything I'm looking to do is to create higher impact. For me, it's to get them in as deeply as possible, and it's the equivalent once they're in that level of depth. It's like putting a USB jack into their head, and then put the suggestions in a way that A, they'll get in there, and B, they'll adapt. Part of what I'm writing in the new book is the idea of adaptive suggestions to make self-perpetuation and refinement more of a process in the hypnosis profession. A lot of session suggestions I've read from other people are stagnant. I remember the early stuff I was trained with. You will not smoke anymore. You do not smoke. The subconscious doesn't really understand negative words well. So I sat down one day, and it took me a couple of hours, many, many decades ago. How do you tell somebody to do something and not tell them at the same time without using a negative word? Well, for me, it became smoke-free, cigarette-free, liberated from overeating, gaining weight, holding weight, free of extra weight. So what you're doing is you're instilling a sense of freedom. So what I tend to do is I tend to write suggestions that are going to be self-adapting, self-perpetuating, self-refining, self-improving over time. That every time they reinforce with an MP3 or something that I've recorded in the session, that I've emailed to them after the session, it's only going to get better every time they do it. I even suggest that. Another one from the stage work, when I bring them up, you're going to feel wonderful, better than anything, on top of the world, like you've had a 9-hour nap and a 7-hour back and foot rub. Man, are you feeling wonderful. At this point in my life, I've never met anybody who didn't want that. It's the same other concept that I talk about too. They're beginning a brand new and better chapter in their lives. That's another perceptive concept change. Everybody who's coming to you is looking for some pivotal moment of change and improvement. Everybody. They wouldn't show up otherwise. Why else would they be there? But I meet people who are like, well, I've had people tell me my scripts in my book are a little too long. But that's one of the beauties of the things that I do with the script books. I have them available. They're soon to be available as ebooks now, because I've stepped into that. We're about to get there. I got a new website under development with this wonderful man in Canada that you introduced me to. Thank you very much.
And by the way, that cat you're talking about is Dustin, and next week on Non-Guard TV, I'm going to actually be interviewing Dustin about what we as hypnotists can do to improve our website so that it can become a tool for attracting clients. By the way, let me interrupt you just for a minute, John, because a lot of people have joined us over the last 5 minutes. We've had some technical difficulties tonight. I don't know why my server is acting up and giving grief. There is a chat box below this video, and for some reason, I'm not able to access that chat box. Normally, we would always answer your questions. Unfortunately, tonight, things don't seem to be going well, and I don't seem to be able to answer your questions. But if you type any questions at icbchgroup.com, both John and I monitor that on a regular basis, and we're happy to answer any questions at any time about hypnosis. A couple other things that I want to mention. You guys have come out tonight to learn a little bit from myself and from John. Each week I will have a guest on, and we'll be talking about things that are relevant and useful to you. We're also going to guide you through a process of hypnosis, and that's going to be coming up. And I will be giving you a free script tonight. Unfortunately, until my webmaster figures out how to fix the website, my programming guy. So when you check back tomorrow on the same page, video.subliminalscience.com/Sunday, the script that I said I would be giving away will be there. So that's just a couple of housekeeping things. The other thing is real simple. At subliminalscience.com, lots of great resources, and people are always ordering Christmas and holiday stuff at the last minute. So to encourage you, for the next 24 hours, if you type in the code HOLIDAY when you check out, it'll take off 20% on everything and anything at subliminalscience.com. So now is the time to order, to make sure you have your things before Christmas time. And John, you wrote in your first book, in fact, one of the things that really impressed me about you was the session optimizers. That's always been my favorite part of your script book. Would you mind sharing a couple of those session optimizing scripts and what the purpose of the session optimizing script is?
I'm really glad you asked me that, because I just pulled out a page with that on there as you were asking me that question, and I've got them right in front of me.
Well, that's because
now, understand this too. You asked me about reading scripts in sessions. Well, by the end of a session, I'm in hypnosis. I have to fight going out myself 30, 40, 50 times for a split second. It's easy to forget things. If I have this in front of me, I've got it in front of me. I can look at it. If I lose my place, I know where I am. One of them is, you talked about noises from outside being a distraction a few minutes ago. Recalling that? You remember that, Richard?
Well, I think that a lot of hypnotists are worried. Now, I can hypnotize people in a Las Vegas casino with blenders going on in the background, so I don't find the noise distracting to me, and I just normalize it for my clients. I simply say, and you may hear some noises from the room outside or the hallway or the elevator or even the cars driving by. Those things won't disturb you. In fact, they will reassure you that you're exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to be doing right now, and they will help you to relax further. And that suggestion makes sense to our client's conscious and subconscious mind, and is the script that I use to normalize any interruptions that a client might have.
What I do with it is, I live in New York City. At the end of the session, invariably, I say the following. The whole world works to support you in this. Sounds from outside. It could be car horns, car sirens, car alarms, barking dogs, planes flying by, vague adult conversations off in the distance, children playing nearby outside. Ringing telephones or telephone noises of any type instantly reinforce all of the suggestions, all of the strategies that your mind is cooking up, all of the adaptations. Every time you hear these sounds, whether you're awake, whether you're asleep, even while you're happily dreaming, your mind is working out the best possible solution to move you forward in this brand new and better chapter of your life, reinforcing your freedom of a lighter, thinner, healthier, better body, and all that it takes to honestly succeed. Smoke freedom, freedom from cigarettes, freedom from smoking, healthy air, extending your life for not only yourself, but the people you love most. Here's another one from one of my books. Each and every time in any conversation, whenever you shake your head no, when appropriate and when appropriate only, you smile to yourself. You want to giggle, you want to laugh, because you know how free you are, forgiving the past, moving forward, saying no to the past and everything that ever stood in your way, having learned from it, forgiven, and moving forward in a loving way. And every conversation when appropriate, every time you nod your head yes, even more so, you're saying yes to your brightest and best potentials. Each and every time you nod your head yes, reinforcing all the benefit of these suggestions and your hypnosis, feeling wonderful inside and out, reset, retuned, recalibrated. One more for you. This is not in any of my books. This will be out eventually. One of the things I did was I cooked up a covert reinforcement. And if somebody's writing this down, I'll probably have to repeat this twice. You know, you don't know what it was you think you knew. So now, even better instead, you now know what it is to know. Well, now knowing all of this, you simply now know you've entered a brand new chapter of your life, smoke-free, cigarette-free. Now,
Sean, will you do me a favor? Repeat that, but a little bit slower for those who are not from Chicago or New York City. I'm in Oklahoma tonight. I spent a lot of time in Arizona. People are a lot slower. That was a great suggestion. It includes elements of confusion, which we know is real powerful for bringing a deeper trance state, as well as for really a pattern interrupt for the conscious mind. So repeat that. That's an excellent suggestion. I love it.
You know, you don't know what it was you think you knew. So now, even better, and instead, you now know what it is to know. Well, now knowing all of this, you just now know smoke freedom, cigarette freedom, lighter, thinner, healthier, better, whatever it is, stress freedom. It also has elements of confusion, but it also has elements of covert hypnosis in there. So even if there's a resistant client sitting in this big recliner chair that I'm in right now, it's going to come in under their radar and going to get results, sometimes even in spite of them, past any even hidden subconscious blockages. Another technique that's a reinforcement tool of mine has to do with the idea of liberating their mighty inner hero. The part that could save their children from danger is now active, up, and working in their favor to reverse back upon themselves everything and anything that's ever stood in their way, both known and unknown to them. A lot of my scripts have known and unknown. When I was a little boy, my parents brought me to church. There was a prayer, and the prayer was, Heavenly Father, protect us from things known and unknown to us. I love that, because the subconscious mind is doing things, and most of it we have no idea what's going on. So if you ask the subconscious mind to A, become heroic, B, become the champion of the person that you're working with, working in their favor rather than against them, to achieve whatever the goal is in a hypnosis session, and B, in ways known and unknown. The way I illustrate this to my clients in a pre-talk situation is, there are many things under the hood of my car that I don't know what they're there for. I have no idea what they do, but I'm really glad some designer put them in there because they must serve some important purpose to keep me alive. So I want elements in their mind working in ways known and unknown, while they're awake, while they're asleep, even while pleasant, happy dreams work out issues while they rest deeply. And therefore, everything is going at once.
All those are great ideas. By the way, a lot of you are thinking, wow, there's so many good ideas tonight. The great thing about this weekly Sunday broadcast is that you can review it at any time. I will leave these archived files up for eternity. You can probably find the old NonGuard TV archives somewhere, but I'll actually leave these up so that you can review the material later on. And just as a side note for those of you who joined us, normally there's a chat box right below us. We had some tech difficulties. My programmer barely solved them before we began tonight. So unfortunately, we don't have a chat box where you can type and ask questions. Or if there is a chat box, I can't see it and I can't access it. But normally, every Sunday night, you'll be able to ask me questions. You'll be able to ask my guest questions, and you'll be able to interact. And I also want you to have a chance to experience hypnosis. Now, on my website, you'll find a lot of resources, including my script book. And anything and everything you want on subliminal science is 20% off for the next 24 hours. All you have to do when you check out is use the code HOLIDAY, and it'll take 20% off anything. So this is an incentive to order now rather than waiting for the holiday rush, I suppose. John, I'm going to ask, I'm going to provide a script because it's snowy and cold where I am, even though it's usually not snowy and cold this time of year. So I'm actually going to provide a script for seasonal affective disorder because the wintertime season is coming up. It's a little bit darker earlier. And because of the tech problems, I'm going to post that script tomorrow at this same webpage. So you'll be able to access it, and boom, it'll be there. But I'll post that later on. Sorry I wasn't able to do it earlier. But John, would you, because I want everybody not only to hear about hypnosis and have a chance to learn about hypnosis, but also to experience hypnosis, would you be so kind as to guide us through a short experience of an uplifting, positive, and motivational hypnosis session for the evening? Would you do that for us?
Right off the top of my head, without a script, you mean? Yeah, I can do that.
You should have a giant script book right in front of you. I showed you the one I have in front of me. So,
yeah, I've got that. I've got this. I'm swimming in paper over here as I'm sitting in this chair. I mean, I can think about a better place to sit in the future. Yeah, I mean, very simply, most hypnotists themselves go into hypnosis pretty easily, and the ones that don't usually.
Let me ask you a quick question. You said earlier that by the end of the session, you're in trance. I've always said that if we're doing hypnosis right, we go into hypnosis with the client. Now, the key is not to fall asleep during our session, but I should be in trance also with my client. That, to me, is an indicator that I'm in rapport with my client. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, when I start to slip into hypnosis and I glance over at them and I start to notice, which is also in the upcoming books, the idea of REM states. Their eyelids are fluttering, their eyeballs are going back and forth behind their eyelids, and I know at that point I'm directly in their subconscious. It's almost like a telepathic connection on some level. Like I can feel when they slip into it. When I look over, there they are. And I'm in the same place. The hard part for a hypnotist when you're in that level of trance is to actually keep going. I want to just go into happy hypnosis land and stop talking. That's a natural tendency.
And that's why the scripts are really important, John, so that I can maintain my focus even when I'm in a trance state also. Right.
So the idea is that if I lose my place, I know where I am. I can finish the session appropriately. There are certain words, I got to tell you, and if you do this for a living, you'd know this too. There are certain words towards the end of the session that are rather hard to keep saying, like unstoppably starts to become because you can't, it's hard, you're in trance and it's a difficult word. But I had done a session some years ago with a psychoanalyst, and she's got all this psychology training. And when I brought her out, she said to me, wow, you're in state when you do that, aren't you? Like from her field, they just refer to that as in state, So whether it's in hypnosis or if you're from a different profession and you do hypnosis and you call it in state, yeah, the better people, in my opinion, are slipping into this stuff. And that means our subconscious, 94% of what we're doing is channeling the best aspects of what we're capable of doing. And that, to me, is great because you're using most of your mind at that point. More brain cells are probably firing at that point. I know my brain is lit up. It feels like my head is like lit up like a Christmas tree when I'm working sometimes. So yeah, that's part of the deal, is going into hypnosis. And again, I remember this will make you laugh too. The early script books I was trained with, there was a lot of typographical errors. A lot of that was just typed out, on a typewriter at the time. There wasn't word processing and spell checking, and it used to make me giggle because when you're in hypnosis, you can feel a little silly. And I get clients that start giggling sometimes during an induction, or even in my shows before as I'm hypnotizing them, they start laughing. And I'm like, yeah, laughter is good. I just turn into the wave. So for anybody listening to this that's got a giggly client, don't even worry about it. Just tell them, yeah, laughter is okay. Turn into the wave. But I remember when I used to almost laugh in this lecture.
John, as you know, laughter is the best medicine. And
right.
So the more you smile, the more you laugh, the better you feel.
Yeah, but I remember you're feeling happy, relaxed, and the word was supposed to be calm in these old script books when I was trained, and it says happy, relaxed, and clam. They would mistype 2 letters, they reversed them. And I would just start giggling because it's so silly, because I was in hypnosis. And I was doing stuff like when I pledged for a fraternity in college, I was poking my fingernails into my flesh, I was pinching myself, whatever it took not to laugh back then to keep going and make the best session I possibly could, or the best recording I could. But the reality is that when you have a script in front of you, you've got a base to work from. My books come on CDs as well if you order them from me. So people print sheets. They take them, they lift them, they adjust them a little bit to the client's needs. So they're adaptable. And any script you're working with, if it's for a different client than the client it was written for, you should look at some adaptation. Not everybody's got the same issues. I've written, for example, my top 7 private sessions would be smoking, weight, stress, a better night's sleep, doing better in school, overcoming a fear, and surviving a breakup. Those are my top 7 private sessions. And a lot of people...
List those again, John, because a lot of people wonder, why do people book an appointment with a hypnotist? And you just gave the 7 most popular issues. And by the way, that coincides with my experience as well. So list that out again.
My top 7, remember I was at the George Carlin list of the 7 words you can't say, but these words we can. The 7 top private sessions I tend to do are smoking cessation, weight loss, stress management, overcoming a fear, doing better in school, and surviving a breakup or heartbreak. The breakup ones are rather interesting because I was never expecting that until it started to happen so frequently. When I first got trained, I didn't expect that years and years and years ago, decades ago. And it's interesting because the first thing a client will call and ask is, can you make me forget about this person? Can you give me amnesia so I never remember them? And I always respond. Michael Jackson's daughter broke up with some guy, and she was hoping to find a hypnotist a couple of years ago who could give her permanent, long-lasting amnesia. And I tell the clients the same thing somebody should have told her. I can give you temporary amnesia, but if they walk down the street or you turn over a photograph in your house and it's them, it's likely to come back as a memory. The trick when doing a heartbreak session, and I teach this, I taught this at the conference in Las Vegas and other places, is the idea to make the person that you broke up with less important to you, as if it happened 15, 20, 30 years ago. You're not walking around holding your knee when you scraped it, when you fell off your bicycle when you were 7. If you're a grown adult now, that's in the past. It's not affecting you the same way. It's the same thing with that kind of a session. And in the list of fears, I've done a wide variety. I've even published a wide variety of scripts on fears. The number 1 fear every year, of course, is public speaking. But I've written sessions about overcoming fears of dogs and cats and birds and lizards. And somebody said to me, why would you have a fear of a lizard session in your book? Well, I had a woman I knew that was going down to the pyramids in Mexico and Central America. And there's lizards running around down there, and she was terrified of lizards. I have a fear of bug script. That worked dramatically with the first person I wrote that for. There was a woman I know, I'm still friends with her. If a gnat flew in the house, a little tiny gnat, like one of the smallest flying bugs you can find, she'd lock herself in the bathroom and scream. After that session, she was in Mexico and she ate cooked bugs. Of course, I asked her, did it taste like chicken? And she said, no.
It actually tastes like cooked bugs. Now, John,
Yeah.
you said kind enough to guide us through a short session to empower us and bring us into the next chapter of life. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes, and I'm going to assume that those who are viewing have also closed their eyes, because even though we're on the internet, the amazing thing is we can still experience the power of hypnosis. John, if you would, guide us through a few minutes of accessing this internal resource that we call hypnosis.
Just close your eyes and relax and take a deep, deep, soothing breath in through your nose, holding it for a moment and slowly out, releasing it slowly, super slowly out your mouth. Take another deep breath in, all the way in, slowly in. Relax, releasing it slowly, relaxing all the way down. As I count from 10 to 1, simply allow yourself, much like a leaf falling off a tree in the fall, to slowly drift and float your way down, drifting and floating your way down into an ever more restful and peaceful relaxation state. Relaxing 85,000 times deeper and further and further and deeper, all the way down deep. 10, relaxing, tired, drowsy, sleepy, wearier, down, down, deeper down. 9, heavier, drowsier, sleepier, gravity heavier on your body, relaxing you deeper. 8, 7, deeper, wearier, heavier, floating, drifting, dreaming. 6, 5, and 4, releasing your breath. All stress and tension leaves, letting go. 3, 2, sleep in 1, all the way down deep now. And with each and every word that I say, and each and every breath that you're taking, each and every number that I count, all working in concert and harmony to relax you heavier, deeper, wearier, drifting, floating, and dreaming. And in this place, visualize yourself as if just developing yourself in another better place, a place of comfort, ease, and complete and total inspiration, relaxation, nowhere to go except deeper, further and deeper into your own relaxation in your own world. In this special place, you are relaxed, weary, unwound, perhaps curled up, letting go, letting go, letting go. And in this place, like a ray of sunshine, golden white light bathing your body from the top of your head down to the soles of your feet. Sunshine washing into the cells and molecules that compose your body and your emotions and your mind and your spirit and all that you are and have been and aspire to be in this place of relaxation, rest, peace, and joy. You are inspired to thrive and succeed. As the light is now embracing your body, breathing into your lungs, flowing into your heart, lighting you up. Allow it to transport your mind and your emotions and your life to a better place, a brand new and better masterpiece chapter of your life. And in this place, embraced by higher wisdom, truth, drive, and determination, you allow in this moment your mighty inner hero, your mighty inner hero, your mighty inner hero to allow yourself, something just went off, I don't know what that was.
As you continue to relax deeply into the sound of
all that noise, as you relax into that sound, all noise, all sound begins to relax you further and deeper down. And in that place, wearier and heavier, deeper down, once again, You allow your mighty inner hero, the part of you that is doubtless, fearless, dynamic, and mighty, to rise up in your favor, rising up in your favor, powerfully, truly, wonderfully, to allow you, in your very best place, in your very best moment, to allow yourself, in this place, in the very best of places, to inspire you to thrive, to succeed, and to break through. Thriving, succeeding, and breaking through, unbeatably, just for you. In this place, there is nowhere to get to, nowhere to be. In this place, there is simply the best of you, the best of me, guiding you to a better place, a better truth, a better wisdom, a better action, a better habit, a better reaction, and truest, highest, greatest wisdom and inspiration and energy to get the job done, in appropriate measure, in appropriate flow, in the very best of ways, thriving, succeeding, breaking through. In this place, forever and always, your brand new chapter, your masterpiece chapter of your life. You are driven, you are motivated, you are healthy, healing, whole, forgiving the past, resolute, living, breathing, enjoying, taking a pace, loving yourself, releasing the past, having risen above it. In truth, in this moment, you are your mighty inner hero, the part of you doubtless, fearless, mighty, unbeatable, setting your mind forward, challenge-oriented, problem-free, struggle-free, motivated, flowing, with gentle ease and comfort, living your best truth, your best wisdom, your best moment. And in this moment, in this future, soon to come back to a better way, a better moment, a better life, a better you. In the future, when appropriate, every time you shake your head no, you are saying no to the things in the past. The barriers you now dissolve, rise above, flow beyond, like a mighty river flowing down the side of a mountain in the spring. You flow over, around, beyond, and through any and all obstacles, like a river to where you need to be, as you are to be, in the best moments as you live. Every time you shake your head yes, nodding your head yes, you're saying yes to a higher, greater, better truth, a higher, greater wisdom, a greater and better you, living, loving, laughing, rising above, resilient, a shining light within your heart and mind, a shining light within your life, a shining light within the lives of the people around you, lighting up all shadow, vanquishing shadow, where there was shadow, now light and healing, inspirational love and wisdom. Re-identified, you have broken free into the best you ought to be. Forever and always, you live in this place, and for the greater the challenge, the faster you bounce back, inspired, unbeatable, thriving. On the count of 3, open your eyes into the best chapter of your life. 1 and 2, 3. Open your eyes, wide awake.
That was fantastic, John. I appreciate that. It's always nice for the people in Australia are, I guess, in the middle of their day, and those in the UK are about ready to start the morning. But for those of us in the U.S. here at the end of the day, great to end with a little bit of hypnosis. What we're going to do every Sunday night is we're going to have some great guests, some great times of teaching and learning, share some free resources for everybody. And normally we won't have the tech problems, and there'll be a chat box below where you can ask any questions. But you can ask any questions you want in our forum at icbchgroup.com. John and I will be happy to answer any questions you post over there at any time. Every Sunday night, we'll get together, have a chance of learning, experiencing, and doing things. I want to thank John for his time tonight with our group. By the way, anything and everything at subliminalscience.com the next 24 hours. All you need to do is use the checkout code HOLIDAY, and it'll take you 20% off. If you buy an ICBCH certification course, it's going to save you almost $100. If you buy the script book, Richard Nonguard's big book of script books, it's going to save you a handful of money. But nonetheless, everything and anything, all learning courses, everything that's on there at subliminalscience.com, just use the code HOLIDAY. It'll take 20% off. John, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you to everybody who participated tonight, even though we had some tech difficulties. Again, thank you for participating tonight. We'll see you same time, same channel next week.